Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching or listening to us from. You are warmly welcome to. We are really excited to be here with you today, and we are looking forward to a very fruitful conversation. I am Vandyck Lomotey, the Country Programs Director for Generation Ghana. Generation Ghana is an organization that is really committed to supporting young people transition from school to the world of work. Do basically work with a set of partners, identifying the right kind of talents, supporting them through training, and then working with employer partners and trying to place them into meaningful and significant job opportunities. I'm really excited to be joined by these amazing co-panelists. I'll allow them to introduce themselves and talk briefly about the organizations and work they are doing. As today we discuss Ghana from Ghana to the world, leveraging local talent for global impact. These amazing CEOs and founders have been doing amazing things in Ghana here. Maybe I'll start with you.
Hello. Okay. So I'm Larbi, Siaw, co-founder of Data, an AI services business, doing the full value chain from data annotation, collection, and modeling. We are registered in the UK and Ghana and fully operational for Ghana. Lovely to share this hour with you this afternoon. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kojo Afedzi. I am the founder CEO of eServices Africa Limited, eSAL for short. We are a local BPO that is delivering services to international clients in multilingual channels as well as voice and non-voice channels.
Hi everyone, I'm Sam Moorhouse. I'm the founder and CEO of Turntabl, which is a software development agency based in Ghana and registered in Ghana and the UK. We deliver software development services to clients in the financial services industry around the world.
It's really exciting to have each one of you here as we talk about from Ghana to the world, leveraging local talent for global impact. I know you all are doing amazing things through your organizations. I first of all want to hear a bit more about your stories. So maybe the first question I would like to ask each one of you is what inspired each one of you to focus on leveraging local talent for global business? Could you share a little bit more about your journey, how you got into this space, and what this really means to you as an individual? Maybe let me start with Kojo this time around.
Is the technical challenge mine or?
I think is your sound also echoing?
No, my sound is not echoing. It's mine echoing, and it seems like Sam's camera is flickering, I guess.
Yeah. It's fine now in terms of the echo.
Okay.
But Sam, are you there?
Yep, I can hear you. Yeah. Would you like me to jump in on the question?
Yes, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. So so I get asked a lot why start a business in Ghana, and I have no claim to Ghanaian heritage, but I'm a software developer by trade. So I've been building trading systems in banks around the world for the past 20 years. I've worked in London, and I've worked in Hong Kong and in New York and a bunch of other places. Always as a software developer and in the kind of field of software delivery. And I found myself running a non-profit delivering a 3-week summer program where we taught professional software development skills to university students in Ghana. We started in about 2016, so approaching 10 years ago now, and found that there was a vast number of really talented young people in Ghana that really weren't getting the kind of international exposure that they deserved. So after a few years of running Global Code, we looked at what the job market was like for young university graduates in Ghana. And a lot's changed since then. It's been 7 or 8 years, but back in 2016, 2017, there really wasn't much in the kind of international facing scene. And so we started Turntabl. Turntable's a business. We're a profit-making enterprise. Our goal is that in the next 2 years, we'll be staff-owned. We've currently got about 150 staff, software developers in an office in Achimota. And our model is that we hire junior software developers, and we submit them through an intense graduate training program, which is based on those that you see up and down Wall Street in the States. It's very, very intense, very high quality software training program, and that prepares those folks for a role in an international facing organization such as ours. And the model has worked. We've been very successful, and we're very proud of the work that we've done, and we've grown. And we take a lot of money from New York and from London, and we bring it straight to Ghana and pay people fairly well, and we're quite proud of that. So the model works. In terms of international exposure, I mean, really, what they say is that talent is evenly distributed, but opportunity is patchy, and that's true. And so one way of looking at a business like Turntables is that we're just bridging the gap between talent and opportunity, and I think that's really important.
I'll follow Sam. Look, my company started out as a pure play systems integrator. We were building sort of systems for, especially telcos, their call center infrastructure, everything from premises wiring all the way to CRM applications. But we were very clear in our minds that the idea was to look at novating some of what we call captive clients into a service domain, i.e., after they've run the operation for a while, we make them a proposal to outsource. And that's how we started. We started with look, my company started out as a pure play systems integrator. We were building sort of systems for, especially telcos, their call center infrastructure, everything from premises wiring all the way to CRM applications. But we were very clear in our minds that the idea was to look at novating some of what we call captive clients into a service domain, i.e., after they've run the operation for a while, we make them a proposal to outsource. And that's how we started. We started with look, my company started out as a pure play systems integrator. We were building sort of systems for, especially telcos, their call center infrastructure, everything from premises wiring all the way to CRM applications. But we were very clear in our minds that the idea was to look at novating some of what we call captive clients into a service domain, i.e., after they've run the operation for a while, we make them a proposal to outsource. And that's how we started. We started with my company started out as a pure play systems integrator. Building sort of systems for, especially telcos, their call center infrastructure,
everything from premises wiring all the way to CRM applications. But we were very clear in our minds that the idea was to look at innovating some of our what we call captive clients into a service domain, i.e., after they've run the operation for a while, make a proposal to outsource. And that's how we started. My company started out as a pure
Okay. I think Kojo has fallen off. Lord, welcome. Really good to have you on the panel as we are discussing from Ghana to the rest of the world, leveraging Ghanaian talents for the rest of the world. Will you please introduce yourself to our audience and tell us what got you into this space? What got you into leveraging Ghanaian talents for the rest of the world?
Hi, hi everybody. Thank you for having me. My name is Lord Malcolm, founder of Betrworkr.com, and really our focus is leveraging
I think Kojo has fallen
local
off.
African. Is there an echo?
Lord, welcome. Really good to have you on the panel as we are discussing from Ghana to the
I'm
rest of
hearing
the
the
world.
echo as well. I don't.
Ghanaian talents.
Hold on. Let me leave.
Will you please introduce yourself to our audience and to this space? What got you into leveraging Ghanaian talent?
Okay, whilst we wait for everyone to come back, I will
Betrworkr.com,
talk about.
really our focus is leveraging.
I think Kojo has fallen
Oh,
off.
hang, there is still the echo.
Okay. It's echoing on my side as well. Are you experiencing the same?
I'm hearing the echo as well. I don't.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me leave.
Will you please introduce yourself to our audience and to this space? What got you into leveraging Ghanaian talent?
Okay, whilst we wait for everyone to come back,
Okay.
I will talk about. Oh, hang, there is still the echo.
Okay. It's echoing on my side as well. Are you experiencing the same?
I'm hearing the echo as well. I don't hear an echo. Are we echo free?
Whilst we wait for everyone to come back,
Yay.
I think so.
Oh Lord, it's back.
It's back.
I think it might be from yours because when you were muted, yeah, no echo now. No echo now. Yeah, it might be from yours, Doc. It's from your end for sure.
Hello, can you hear me? Is it echoing still?
I don't hear an echo.
Okay.
Are we echo free? Yay.
I think so.
I'm hearing the echo. Anybody else? I don't hear an echo now.
Shall we try and deliver some value for our listeners? Maybe Lord Malcolm and then Amma and then I could talk about why we chose to do business in Ghana. Why don't we do that?
Okay, that sounds good. I think with the for us anyway, a Betrworkr, it really started systematically because we were first a software development shop. And similar to what you do, Sam, building mobile applications, web devices, ERPs, software of all kinds. And then right around the first year of the return in 2019 was when I first came to Ghana. And there was just such there was so much optimism in the air. There was so much opportunity in the air. And there was a lot of other returnees or diasporans who were looking to set roots in Africa. And so by default, because of having a software development shop and already having a bench of in-house talent, people would reach out off the cuff and just say, "Hey, Malk, I need XYZ for about a 6-month project. I need a UI UX designer for a 3-4 month project." And really that's kind of how it gave birth. Was we were letting our talents also help clients on the outside if they wanted to handle those projects in-house. And from there it kind of just evolved and grew. And now that Ghana has become an actual hub for tech and tech initiatives, and along with tapping into that returnee talent, it's been a blessing.
It really sounds positive. I know Amal, together with IR Data, you've also been at the forefront of connecting Ghanaian talents with global opportunities. Can you share a little bit more about your journey, what got you into this, and what has been the inspiring point for you?
Thank you. I think the word opportunity has been thrown around a bit, and there is currently a growing demand for outsourced work from the global north to the global south. And companies are starting to look more and more outside of Asia. And frankly, I felt that Africa had an extraordinary opportunity to lead by leveraging from its abundant youth and highly adaptable workforce, especially Ghana, can meet this demand while addressing employment challenges that it has. So I moved to Ghana, having worked for years in the banking and oil and gas industry, mainly with outsourced teams sat in India. But I wanted at that time in my career to work in a space that I felt created more impact, and with the realization that I was able to bridge the gap between the global needs for outsourcing and the local talent, what could not only create jobs but also create a sustainable ecosystem for innovation and skills development in Ghana. And so at Aya, through building partnership with organizations such as Generation, Blossom Academy, and UG, we've built our model mainly around cultivating local talent to provide world-class AI solutions to global enterprises, driven by our passion for excellence. So that's my journey so far.
Thank you all for sharing. I know it's not easy in terms of trying to get local Ghanaian talents and connecting them with global opportunities, much more because of different standards, different expectations in terms of the cultural differences as well. Tell me, how has that been for you? You that you are at the forefront of doing this very thing. What have you done differently that you can say that because of A, B, C, D, we've been successful at integrating local talent and placing them into global opportunities? Maybe I'll start with you, Amma, and then Lord, you can also share a perspective on that as well.
So for us, we've had to create a bespoke L&D funnel where we find, train, and retain the top tier talent. So we find through partnerships with local universities like Ashesi, and as mentioned, partnership with organizations like the Blossom Academy and Generation, who then take the specialized areas that for the talents we need, like data science, cloud engineering, and through job training, shadowing, internship, as well as a mentorship program where we pair our employees with global successful, top tier workers in the global north as mentors. We ensure our workforce not only understand the technical requirements that require for our projects, but they also able to deliver to international quality standards. And through this approach, we've been able to provide some, high quality output. And, we've worked for some leading enterprises, Unilever, the UK government, and also Tony Blair Institute, who we actually met at Tech in Ghana last year.
So through training, shadowing, some form of apprenticeship,
Mentorship.
yeah, is what has helped you to unlock that. Lord, and in your experience, in your case, what has been the approach and what have you done differently? Your microphone is on mute, Lord.
My bad. So similar to what Amma shared, definitely leveraging those relationships with local universities and centers of excellence that are actively educating and training folks who are up and coming. But we've also taken it up a notch. We have internship programs with client companies where if someone really stands out from the crowd and we see talent and they complete their engineering course or software development course, we would serve as a funnel and basically connect them with our client companies for a minimum of about 6 months for some of those internship opportunities. And that has really been a door opener because those who stand out and excel during those internship opportunities more often than not get retained and absorbed into the company. So you're coming in as a greenhorn. You have, your 1 year of engineering experience or lessons, but then you get absorbed into a global startup, a global fintech, and you're being mentored. You're literally being mentored by people who have been there, done that, and are willing to kind of peel back the curtain to give you a firsthand view. So that's been a secret sauce for us as well.
Thank you very much. And maybe the question that I need to ask is around the skill level. First of all, your experience working with different talents in the country and then globally as well. How do you rate the skill level of a typical, let's say, a Ghanaian graduate? And how do you rate that? And then also, what specific skills will make somebody a little bit more competitive on the global markets? And maybe Lord, you can just continue this question for me, and then Sam, I would like to hear your insights on this as well.
So Sam gave a very apt detail earlier when he said, talent is distributed, but opportunity isn't. And I wrote that down once he said that because I'm like, oh, I actually like that because I run into that on a weekly basis. And how, with regards to the talent level, I mean, it's Ghana has a up and coming tech ecosystem, so there's definitely a lot of local talent in the mix, whether it's junior level, mid level, senior level. That's not in question. I think what is in question is just the adaptability, because I've also learned that you can upskill for experience. I have a software developer right now who 6 months ago I didn't recognize, and I had a call with him earlier, and I said, hey, in the next year you'll be unstoppable, because you can upskill for talent, you can upskill for learning the ropes as long as that person is eager and willing. I think what you can't really upskill for is that culture and that can-do attitude, that ability to just, hey, whatever it takes, I'll roll up my sleeves and get dirty, we'll figure it out. And that's a key component of, what we are trying to change at Betrworkr, because it's not so much, the talent is there and we bring the opportunity thanks to our global partnerships. But, when you get into, for example, I will say some of the talent from the when I say old, well, generational banks usually struggle when they go into a fintech. And not through any fault of theirs, just a different culture. You have the fintech CEO, hey, today we're going this way, and tomorrow we're pivoting to this neobank, and next week we're focusing on SMEs. And if you don't have that agile mindset, or if you haven't been exposed to it, it's usually an issue. So that's where I would say there's a bit of discrepancy there.
So it is about being adaptable, being agile, having the can-do spirit. It's not really rocket science. It's more of an internal character that the talent has to bring on board. And for the rest, we can upskill for the person to match that. Sam, I don't know if you have a different perspective on this.
No, not a different perspective at all. I'd hope to reflect on what Amma and Lord Malcolm have said. Sometimes I'm asked in my position at Turntable to advise computer science departments in Ghana on their curriculum. Like, what is it that we as hirers are looking for in the graduates of computer science degrees and software engineering degrees? And I always sit back and watch, because it's been a few years now, and you'll be on these panels and you'll be in these spaces, and folks will come from abroad, like myself, and there'll be domestic partners, and there'll be a lot of noise and a lot of strong opinions. And one year people will say, well, you should teach computer science fundamentals. People are coming out of university without knowing what a list is. And then the next year, and the faculty will say, right, computer science fundamentals, got it. And they'll go back to their curriculum boards and they'll redesign the curriculum around computer science fundamentals. And then 2 years down the line, these hiring managers will say, myself included, right, will say, the fundamentals are fine, but you're not teaching any vocational skills. Like, nobody knows how to build an application, right? And I'm sure we've all been there, and it's very frustrating on both sides. And I think that there's the issue isn't quality, because as Amar said, you can train for quality, and if you invest heavily and upfront in training, and if you build learning and development into the core of your business, it's one of our values, teaching and learning, then you will be successful. And if you don't do that, then you'll end up with a room of software engineers who aren't very good. It's really as simple as that, and you have to be very clear about what it is that you want. So we say to our university partners and our friends on faculty, do what you can, and we'll hire and we'll do the rest. Right. And so our graduate training program is 13 weeks long. It's vast, and it's incredibly expensive in terms of dollars and time, because we pay a full-time salary to our graduates who we hire. We don't scrimp and save on salaries there, but it's the only way, I believe, to operate successfully in the international market. Because when I started my career, I started out at Morgan Stanley. And at the time, Morgan Stanley ran a 4-month graduate training program. It was the longest and the best on Wall Street. And it was really tough. Lots of C++ and lots of Perl. And then I went to have a successful career in software development. And then later on, I went to go and teach on Morgan Stanley's graduate training program, because I'd done the job for 10 years and I was comfortable talking, and I was, it turns out, a fairly good instructor. Now, Turntable's been around for 5 years. And in the last year, this might answer your question about quality. In the last year, 2 of our employees, as part of their work for Turntable, were teaching on Morgan Stanley's graduate training program. So we've come full circle, and it's a really kind of, for a computer scientist, it's a really kind of elegant, it's a really nice thing to have done. So I wanted to tell you that one thing. Turntable's alumni, and I know you'll probably want to talk about talent drain a little bit later on, but people who have gone from Turntable to Google and Microsoft and Shell and Amazon and the West Coast and the East Coast. Amma talked about the global North, and we talk to our clients about that, and I think that there really is there's no better way to shine a light on the talent that's available, the talented young people available in Ghana, than something like that.
That is really encouraging to hear. It's not like there's no talent in Ghana, but we got to be more intentional about how we developing this talent. The strategy must be very clear right from the onset and cool. Talking about strategy and these points, Amma, from your perspective at Aya Data, what has been some of the very intentional strategies you've put in place to ensure that your talent matches with expectations and they match up with global expectations?
So for us, we've had to be cognizant of the fact that the AI landscape is constantly evolving. So we have to be strategic in our upskilling. We have to foster a culture of learning in order to build the sustainable talents that meets the international demand. So we have, beyond the technical training, as we've said, as Malcolm and Lord have mentioned, it's there. Technical training is not the issue, but we've had to foster a culture of continuous development. We use gamified a platform called UG, which incentivizes our employee to learn through gamified learning experiences. And obviously, we do AI complementary skills, as we've mentioned, adaptability, critical thinking, creative problem solving, proactivity. So we train for human expertise that complement AI to make sure we can future-proof work to meet the changing environment of AI, because it'll be frankly irresponsible not to do so.
Amma, thanks for sharing this. And I think Sam also mentioned it a little bit. There's a heavy investment on learning and development, and you have even taken the lead using AI or integrating the processes with AI as well. Kojo, how big is AI really disrupting how we train talent in our country to match with global standards? Please, your microphone is on mute.
Yeah, what I was saying is, let me re-echo something that Sam said and everybody has said about talent. So I'm going to take you back just one little bit before I come to AI. And the fact that, and we call it, Ghana is full of rough diamonds. And the key ingredient is for us to be, diamond polishers. Sometimes when somebody asks me, what do you do? I say, look, I actually am a diamond polisher, because I think that's the key. The raw talent is there, and what are the interventions you bring? And and then we can add things like AI. AI are tools that we will use to enable and in our case, I'm a bit different from everybody here. I'm not developing software. I'm a BPO delivering both front office and back office services to global clients. Now, the only way I can do that is to compete against the India and the Philippines in terms of not just language skills and proficiency, but being able to deliver at the same standard, at a better price point. So we use all of the tools from a quality assurance standpoint, from a scoring of agent performance standpoint, and internationally benchmarked. What do we use AI for? We use AI to allow agents to be able to reduce in their interaction routine work, so that they are enabled right there with the with the knowledge base right in front of them, so they don't have to. The key is for agents to be able, what we call them brand ambassadors, to be able to solve more complex problems and not just routine tasks. AI has taken that out of the equation.
And you just mentioned quality assurance as one of the key strategies you use in terms of effectively upskilling and reskilling talents to ensure that they are meeting global standards. I'm curious to hear more. What other strategies at eSAL you are putting in place and you found to be helpful, especially to the business community that may be watching or listening to us right now, that you have found to be helpful, that you would like to recommend in terms of if you are preparing your talent, especially to meet global demands?
Look, at the end of the day, talent, the assessment process in our entire life cycle of, looking for talent and then deploying them lies with the assessment. if you do the correct and detailed assessment, and it's not just assessment in terms of your
Roots learning assessment.
but it's about your other skills, the cognitive skills, your psychometric test that we use before you actually get somebody to behind the desk and to deliver a service. I mean, I think that preparation is everything. If you don't prepare, look, we hire for attitude. Okay, you can have all the skills in this world. We hire for attitude. There's a saying in Ghana that we don't have the right attitude, but I think that if you take the time to make sure that you're using the right tools to hire the right people, then you'll get the right people behind the desk to deliver the service.
Thank you very much, Kojo. If you are watching us or listening to us, I would like to encourage you to drop in your questions and your comments. We'll have time to take questions and also read your comments. So please do so. If you are watching, you are listening to us. But maybe Sam, let me shift to you and let's talk about brain drain. Brain drain is a big issue for a country like Ghana, where opportunities, somebody will say, is scarce. Many people are looking at opportunities, especially abroad. As a result of that, when they receive the training and it's possible to shift abroad with the new skills they've acquired, they will quickly do so. In the process, there is a huge brain drain. How have you thought about this, and what are you specifically doing to address brain drain so that we don't groom talent locally, and at the end of the day, we lose them?
Thanks for the question. I think about talent drain a lot. When we first started out and we were a smaller business, obviously if someone left us, it had a much bigger impact. One thing about doing business in Ghana is that folks really, really love their country, and I don't see that so much elsewhere. And so I don't see the drive to leave Ghana as much as I see it in other places, which is quite nice, right? There's a lot of really positive kind of love of country, kind of nationalism that you see in Ghana that I don't see in the UK, for example, right? And I think that has an impact on what people want to do. Now, do people want to generate wealth for their family? Do people want to make a change generationally in the standard of living? Yeah, absolutely they do. But do folks who have left the country and live in the diaspora want to come home and look after mom and dad? Yes. Do folks want to come home and buy some land and bring their families home? Yeah, absolutely. I've got Ghanaian friends here. I live in Brooklyn, and I've got Ghanaian friends out here whose parents didn't bring them home, but who will bring their children home, right? And I think that connection is very, very tight and lasting and is wonderful, right? So when I look at if you were to draw a histogram of the age of Turntable staff, I would like to see it being bimodal, i.e. lots of young folks who are graduates and then a bunch of experienced folks who have gone out to the diaspora, have got their MBAs, or they've studied, or they've worked on the West Coast, or what have you, gone to the global north, and then come home and bring those skills and bring those talents back with them. So that's one thing about talent drain. The second thing is that when you run a business, you have to think of attrition as part of a system. So we hire people, folks work for Turntable for a period of time, and then they will leave, right? So one of my jobs is managing natural attrition, and so when people leave, we don't think of that as a scary thing, right? We're not worried about that. That's people. There are three classes of people in my world, right? You haven't yet worked for Turntable, you are currently working for Turntable, and then we wish you the best. So my question is, what happens to those people? Where are they going when they leave? Because I'm happy when people go to Google. I'm supremely proud when someone goes and works for Goldman Sachs in the UK. And I try to balance, am I contributing to talent drain by making people excellent? Or am I actually, putting them in a position where they can generate wealth for their family? I haven't, and I can't wait to be, when we're in this system, when someone says to me, Sam, I'm leaving Turntable for a better job, with better conditions, more well paid in Ghana, it's going to happen. I can see it with the folks on this panel. I'm looking at you, Lord Malcolm, Kojo, we're all in this game together. when Turntable's part of an ecosystem, I'll be over the moon. And then our job is to drive the ecosystem forward and engage in really friendly competition.
So your view is that so long as we are driving the ecosystem forward, then we are doing something right. We are causing an impact, and it is with a hope and expectation that in a way these talents, whether they are working for Google or wherever they are, they would contribute in a way to Ghana. Amma, what are your thoughts on this? Your experience working with higher data and all that. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree that there's been a change in terms of brain drain. There isn't that much of that need of people wanting to leave Ghana as there was, a few years ago. And so for us as well, attrition is what we pay close attention to. And we have a situation where lack of talent will be our bottlenecks in terms of building our AI products. So it's quite key for us to ensure that our employees see a future with us and stay with us. So we make sure we create very clear career pathway. So you join us as a data annotator, and whilst you're with us, we will upskill you into the high value role of data scientist, cloud engineer, solutions architect. And it's not always technical. We also have roles that go into sales as well. But another thing that is quite key for us is fostering like local impacts, ensuring that our employees can see the value of the work they do. So for example, for our Grow products, which we use drone and satellite images to give insight to farmers. The employees can drive up to, the palm plantation or the banana plantation, watch the drones collecting the data, go through the algorithm, see the info, posted on the dashboard, knowing and being able to see the work that you're doing and the impact it's having locally. But we're selling those products also to global companies. So you also know that on the AI, wider global AI community, you are also at the forefront of the cutting edge of the industry. So there isn't that need to feel like, I need to leave Ghana, or I need to, or leave Aya, I should say, in order to remain competitive or work on your cutting edge projects. So that's my thoughts on brain drain currently.
That makes sense. Once people feel a sense of purpose, a sense of mission, and they can see their own growth, even within this context, that is a way of solving this issue of brain drain. I'm keen on hearing your thoughts, especially Kojo and Lord, on as you engage with all these global organizations and you come across all these global opportunities and you're trying to funnel it into the country. What are the key trends that you are observing? Where do you think the opportunities really are? And if you are to make a bold prediction for the next, now we can't say 5 years from now because we don't know what might change, but over the next 1 to 2 years, what will be your bold prediction in terms of where the global trend is leading for opportunities? Maybe Kojo, you can start, and then Lord can come in.
And I'll say from where we're trying to position our company, and we're positioning it not just to tap into sort of the global labor arbitrage, which is, but I think in 3 years' time, you're going to see global brands looking to sell into the African market. The African customer is going to be a sought after, that market is going to come. Forget about the Continental Free Trade Association and all of that stuff. I think it will come naturally. And the challenge for global brands will be, how do I support, on the back of, let's say, whether it's an e-commerce play or brick and mortar play, how do I support these customers? Yeah. These customers are not going to just be speaking English. There are cultural nuances that we all have to be aware of, and we are aware of because, look, my company is in the front office of whatever it is that our customer is doing, and therefore we need to be sensitive to the cultural nuance, the language nuance. We're delivering to a fintech right now that requires us to deliver in multiple languages. I think this is going to come to the fore, and how we even use AI to be able to deliver those services, I think is also going to come is going to come front and center. And for example, we are now building a whole tree language modeling with within our organization to test how we can use AI to enable some of our agents that really don't speak tree to be able to handle tree-related transactions, for example.
Kojo, the point you just made is very interesting. Ghana as a country, we've prided ourselves in the fact that we are English speaking and we are surrounded by Francophones, and that should be an incentive for businesses to come to Ghana. But from what I'm hearing and from the trends you're observing, it's not just safe to be English speaking, but we got to be multilingual to be able to tap into the diverse opportunities that are around us. Is that a point you're making?
Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you something that we're doing in our company right now that is unique. We're delivering in English, French, now you wouldn't believe this, and Spanish.
Interesting.
How do we get Spanish speaking? Well, you'll find out that there's a large population of young Equatorial Guineans in Ghana. It came as a very big surprise to us. What are they doing? They come to learn English, they come to educate themselves, and we have sort of the opportunity to say, hey, you know what? We'll teach you the English, you give us the Spanish, and everybody's happy.
Wow. That is very interesting. Lord, what has been your observation in terms of where the trends are for opportunities?
So it's awesome what Kojo just shared, especially with regards to the exchange between Spanish and English and tapping into that. Was it Equatorial Guinea?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. They've been in the news recently, so just checking.
Okay.
But I think that's phenomenal with the exchange program because I've also seen a bit of that from the diaspora side. So I went to college in Minneapolis, Minnesota, that had a huge African diaspora community. Brooklyn Park, Minnesota has the largest number of Somalis outside of Somalia.
Yeah.
And then also other adjacent communities, Ghanaians, Kenyans, and folks. But it's been interesting over the last decade to see some of my peers who stayed in the technology space return to give back over the years. There's one who's coming back this December. He's a cybersecurity guru in Minneapolis, and he returns every year and holds camps and just imparts that knowledge that he's learned firsthand while never forgetting where he came from. So he's teaching these kids in Twi. I mean, he can code switch, but they just think it's phenomenal that this guy who went to school there back in the early 2000s and is now coming back as a Ghanaian American can relate and speak the language. And so right away, that commonality just impacts the interest level. Something else I'm seeing is knowledge transfer programs, especially within multinationals. So I'm currently working with a multinational that is out of Nairobi, but they have 11 locations in Africa. And what they do every couple of years is pick just high achievers that they've identified and move them to a different country. They'll file the work visa, relocation expenses are covered. And so you have a guy who's from Nigeria, for example, outgoing, ebullient, and they'll ship him to Morocco or Egypt. And just that exchange of culture and being able to interface while exchanging ideas has proven to been a boon not only for recruitment but retention. So that's been a way that people have been able to handle that.
That's very interesting. If you're watching or you're listening to us and you have questions and comments, please don't hesitate to drop it. I have one question here, and the question is that we said now hiring is going to be based on attitude. Would that mean that no practical skills will be considered at all? Is it just going to be about attitude and no practical skills at all? I think this is to the point that you were making, Sam. And then I think, Amma, you touched on that a little bit. So this question probably is directed to you both.
I can talk about attitude and skills. Yeah, I mean, we touched on culture earlier, and obviously Turntable spends a lot of time training, but we also spend a lot of time hiring these days, and we hire quite intensely. We look to hire the best folks who are coming out of universities, but also more experienced folks who've been in the scene for a little bit longer. And we find that combination is very successful for us. On culture, when we first started out, I thought that we would have to spend a lot of time talking about culture and talking about how expectations in office workers in the global north work, for example, approaches to things like timeliness. And also when we started working for clients, I thought we'd have to spend a lot of time speaking with clients and engaging with them about what it means to work with folks from Ghana. And it's kind of true, but not really. There's this great book by a lady called Erin Mayer called The Culture Map, and everyone should read The Culture Map. It's phenomenal. What she does is she draws out 6 or 7 kind of axes or themes along which we all place ourselves. So attitude to family life, how you prefer to receive feedback, direct or indirect, your approach to timeliness. I'm British, so my approach to timeliness is quite strict. And when I started working in Ghana, I find myself getting quite frustrated when things don't quite mean the same way. What's important isn't that you match with your colleagues. What's important is that you have empathy and you understand how people work. So I know working in Ghana that if someone's at home and their aunt comes over, it's very, very difficult for that person to just leave, right? And during COVID, when people were working from home and we're in these like multi-generational households, we spent a lot of time talking about like what it means to have a job and what it means to work and like how to engage with family and all the rest of it. And we found that was quite successful. In terms of the other way around, we work with multinationals, and all those folks are very, very used to working with people from India and the Philippines and South America and France and Germany and Hong Kong and in China. So we don't have to really spend any time at all talking about what it means to work with someone from Ghana, because it just adds to the wonderful kind of curry of cultures that these folks are used to working with. So what I see mostly from the international space is the more the merrier.
The more the diversity, the merrier. Yeah. Thank you, Sam. Amma, before you even answer that question, let me add a second question that is directed towards you from one of our viewers, and you can take both. The question here is, what have been the main limitations with regards to providing total value in the whole AI machine learning chain? What has been the main limitation in terms of talent from Ghana, adding value to that, and from data annotation to actually building complete AI solutions? What has been the limitations that you have identified?
So in terms of the question, the limitations is not the talent availability, because we have a lot of data scientists in the last few years that have been trained by a lot of training partners. It's mainly practical experience, because historically the data scientists have been working in the global north or outsource their talent outside of the continent. And having created the opportunity to have people here, what we're finding as a startup, being able to find the data scientists who can work on the projects are not, it's not quite affordable. So we're kind of caught in having to quickly upskill and get the talent that we need to be able to work on our AI products. But in terms of data annotation, we have to train for it. It's, we were aware we weren't going to have the talent in-house, and it doesn't take a long time to do it. So again, we've tried to stop that bottleneck by partnering with Generation, which, as you know, Doctor, we have a cohort starting recently, and soon, I should say, already have started training on the data annotation front to stop any bottlenecks that we'll have there. But in terms of what is the challenge, I would say it's having the practical experience that we need to build our AI products.
Thank you very much. We have 5 minutes to go. I think this is where the conversation is rather getting more interesting. But before we go, what would be your final words to our viewers, to our listeners? First of all, if you are a talent based in Ghana and you are seeking to tap into global opportunities, what should you be thinking about at this point in time? And then on the flip side, if you're a global organization thinking about sourcing talent from Ghana, what should you be thinking about? Maybe Amma, you started off, and I can hear everyone's thoughts before we leave.
Sure. So in terms of, locally seeking work, I would say that you have to be cognizant, and again, I'll speak from the AI space. You have to be cognizant that AI is, rapidly evolving. So strategic upskilling, fostering a culture of learning and building sustainable talent pipelines is crucial in order to meet the global standard. If we don't do this, in terms of if efforts are done solely to train on current roles without accounting for AI, we risk becoming obsolete very soon. And then it's, are we trying to upscale the youth of Africa, or is it just lip service? Right, and to anticipate the AI landscape, we have to adapt our workforce and develop them accordingly, and invest in skilling that makes our workforce future ready and competitive. Otherwise, we face, in a few years, a mismatch again, with available jobs and workforce capability. So, critical thinking, adaptability, these are all skills that we need to train for, whilst also continually fostering continuous learning to keep pace with the technological change. And I will, lastly, I'll just say, we need to harness the growth in AI for development. And if we're not proactive, we're not adaptive with workforce planning, this opportunity to become have a demographic dividend is actually may probably lead to another African deaths because we haven't taken advantage of the AI revolution.
Fostering a culture of learning, continuous learning, workforce planning, especially when it comes to leveraging AI. Thank you very much. Sam, what about you?
Yeah, thanks very much. I'll reflect what Amma said about strategic upskilling for that's about advice to people who are looking to join the workforce. I'd say as an educator, a person can have breadth of knowledge or depth of knowledge, but the best pattern is a kind of T-shape. So make sure that you have in the field that you want to work in, make sure you have an area of study where you can talk at great depth about what you're interested in. That really, really helps hiring managers. In terms of businesses across Africa, we're positioning ourselves firstly as a solid business. Working in Africa isn't aid, right? And we're not trying to take part in a race to the bottom, which I think is where India's fallen apart. We deliver excellent quality staff, and we're not cheap, and we're not ashamed of that. And if you're looking for cheap workers, I think you should ask yourself why. And sometimes I have fairly awkward conversations with potential clients about that. In terms of folks looking to work with businesses in Africa, the smart money is looking south. The smart money is looking to the global south to diversify your workforce, to de-risk your workforce, to find pockets of talented people who can do the work that you need. And the final point is you really have no choice because Africa's moving forward. There's a lot of homegrown businesses in Africa. There's a lot of startup culture in Africa. We've already heard about hustle culture, which is phenomenal. Is really, really delivering an African kind of and shape of startup culture, which is unique. And so, absolutely, join the bandwagon, get on, enjoy the ride, and look south.
I like that. Look south. But the key takeaway for me is that we are not cheap. And so if you are thinking about talent in Africa, why are you looking cheap? Thanks very much. Kojo, maybe I'll come to you. What will be your thought on this? Please, your microphone is on mute.
Look, I'd say that, basically Africa is on the map. Ghana, Kenya, there's a couple of countries that are emerging as destinations for the kind of work that we do. And that has been confirmed by, in Ghana today, you have two of the largest business process outsourcing companies in the country. Okay, so it's basically Ghana has been greenlit by the Googles and the Amazons of this world. And for young people that are looking for work and that are not necessarily tech savvy, but have enough of a tech resonance, there's a lot of work out there, and you need to have the right, mindset to be able to excel. Because I'm not going to mention the name, but one company that is here currently, the country manager said to me, we've been in Ghana for 8 months. Out of 8 months, in the 8 months, out of 34 locations globally, Ghana has won 3 awards. It goes to what Sam has been saying, and I think the talent is there. And for us as operators and founders of companies, our challenge and our opportunity is to make sure that we can reskill and upskill and showcase this incredible talent to the global market.
Thank you very much, Kojo. The talent is there, but we need a mindset of excellence if we are looking at tapping into global opportunities. Thanks for that point. Lord, what would be your final thoughts on this?
I think what Amma said to kick us off is spot on regarding the art of AI push and the AI initiative. I mean, at this point, there are multinationals who are making people redundant because AI has caught up to what they have to offer. And so I think it's mission critical for those of us who are in tech or people who want to come into tech to really hone in on specializing, focusing on that niche, but leveraging AI in terms of that niche. Even while in Ghana, I mean, tools like Coursera, Udemy, LinkedIn have affordable courses for upskilling, but I think it's mission critical that I'm gonna use the word evolve. I'm gonna take it up a notch. I think it's evolve or die, evolve or get left behind. We cannot afford to get complacent because it's already happening in real time, and Africa cannot be left behind. As far as employers who want to attract global workers, I think the big thing for them is just opportunity, affording people those internships, affording people those apprenticeships, affording a foot in the door. I have a guy who was hired out of Nairobi, Kenya, 3 years ago as a product manager for a multinational company in Mexico. He's now their head of product 3 years later. And does not speak a lick of Spanish, or did not at the time, has made friends, has been to Mexico a couple of times in the last 3 years. But that's one of our success stories is, having that opportunity and someone with the right attitude, taking the ball and running with it and elevating himself because that opportunity was given. So, I mean, the talent is here in Africa. There's a lot of people who are contributing on a global scale. And I would just encourage more live projects and more opportunities.
Thank you very much for the insightful contributions and thoughts here. I think this has been a good conversation. Certainly, we are going to continue the conversation at Tech in Ghana. So, CEO, and thanks for your time. For those of you that joined us, whether you're watching us or you're listening to us, thanks for coming. The date is the 26th and the 27th November at the Moorhouse Ambassador Hotel. That is where Tech in Ghana is happening. All the thoughts, all the ecosystem players, the thought leaders will be convening at Tech in Ghana. Don't miss it, and see you there on the 26th and the 27th November at the Moorhouse Ambassador Hotel. Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.